Peppa Pig is the kind of show that defines childhood for anyone who has watched it. But have you ever noticed the unbelievable animation and logic mistakes that happen in episodes of the Pink Piglet's Adventures? Most of these mistakes are so funny that it's hard to tell if they're actual errors or if the show's creators do it on purpose to tease fans. For instance, in the episode Pedro the Cowboy, the kids decide to play outside at Pony's cabin. It looks like the perfect setup for some fun. But if you pay close attention to the details, something doesn't make sense. When everyone arrives at Pedro's house, we see 2 flowers in the garden nearby. Nothing unusual so far. The problem arises when the parents come to pick up the kids. The flowers completely vanish. It might seem like a small detail, but it's clearly a continuity error. Were the flowers blown away by the wind, or did the animators simply forget to put them back? It's a mystery, but this is definitely not the only mistake we'll show you today. We've picked out 16 amazing mistakes from the Pink Piglets show, so grab your golden boots and let's dive into the incredible world of Peppa. There's nothing like a long train ride to enjoy some beautiful views and breathe in fresh air, right? But what would you do if you found out your neighbor could clone himself? Well, that's exactly what happens in this bizarre mistake. In the episode, The Long Train Journey, Daddy Pig embarks on a very long trip. To make the most of it, he decides to bring the whole family along. After all, who doesn't love a family trip, especially when it's to another country? The journey starts off well, with Miss Rabbit at the helm of the train and Mr. Cat, one of Peppa's neighbors, already comfortably seated in the carriage. Everything seems normal so far, but when they arrive at their destination, there's Mr. Cat again, waiting at the station. 2 Mr. Cats? How is that possible? This kind of mistake makes us wonder, is it just an oversight by the animators, or is something more mysterious going on in this universe? One great mystery that intrigues Peppa fans is the one surrounding Madame Gazelle. This teacher with a foreign vibe arrived in England many years ago, but many believe she might be a direct descendant of Count Dracula. As you probably know, vampires don't have a reflection in mirrors. And in the Halloween episode, while Susie Sheep is talking to the teacher, we can see Susie's reflection in the classroom mirror, but there's no trace of Madame Gazelle's image. Was this a mistake or an inside joke? We don't know, but the idea of little kids being taught by a possible vampire is both scary and hilarious. So grab your popcorn, sprinkle some garlic on top, just in case it works against vampires, and get ready to discover 16 mistakes in Peppa Pig. Birthdays are always special moments, and in the episode where Daddy Pig celebrates another year of life, Peppa is eager to help prepare the cake. Of course, the best part is licking the bowl with the sweet batter, right? Mummy Pig, being an excellent baker, pours all the batter into the pan. But surprise! In the next scene, when Peppa and George ask to lick the bowl, there's still batter inside. How is that possible? The animators need to make up their minds. Is there batter left for the kids or not? This is the kind of detail that sharp-eyed fans notice as a lack of attention to continuity. But let's be honest, who wouldn't want to lick the cake bowl? Feeling hot? In the episode Swimming, the pig family decides to cool off at the city pool. But between dips, there's a curious mistake that might go unnoticed unless you're paying close attention. At the start of the episode, the locker room doors are arranged as follows: blue, green, yellow, and red from left to right. Everything seems fine. However, by the end of the episode, the door colors have completely changed to red, yellow, green, and blue. And to make things even stranger, the camera angle shifts without explanation. It's as if the animators forgot the initial order or decided to change everything on a whim. Who knows? I've always said that Peppa's teacher and her friends have something very unusual going on, but no one believes me. Let's talk about the episode Madame Gazelle's House. Peppa's family decides to visit Madame Gazelle's house, but be careful about your neck in there. Here's what happens. From the outside, it's impossible to miss the tree leaning on the house, pushing it to the right. So, logically, the interior should also lean in the same direction, right? Wrong! Upon entering, Peppa and George notice the floor is tilted to the left, and both slide that way. But the confusion doesn't stop there. As they move to another room, the tilt seems to magically shift to the right. And the strangest part? Instead of sliding down, they start sliding up. So, is the house leaning to the right or the left? We're left with the question. If this puzzle has you scratching your head too, leave a comment below saying, confused. This is one of those mistakes that makes you wonder if it was intentional, just to make people laugh. In the episode Tidy Up the Room, Peppa and George are making a huge mess in their bedroom. while Daddy Pig is just trying to enjoy a quiet moment reading his newspaper. Now, pay attention. The first shot of the siblings' bedroom shows a pretty small space. There's a door on the left, toys scattered on the floor, a window at the back, and the iconic bunk bed on the far right. Everything looks quite cramped. But later, when Daddy Pig decides to go upstairs to check on the chaos, he steps on George's toy car and takes a dramatic tumble. Here's the curious part. The bedroom suddenly looks enormous as he crosses several meters that simply didn't exist before. And the bed, which should be in plain view, completely vanishes. In other words, the size of the room changes depending on the camera angle. When it's a close-up, it's small. In a wide shot, it's huge. Pretty strange, right? Now, let's talk about Danny Dog's mysterious teleportation power. In the ballet class episode, he makes an appearance that literally defies logic. While the kids are enjoying the class, Danny appears on one side of the screen. Nothing unusual so far, but in the very next second, he vanishes and magically reappears on the other side, as if he crossed the room in mere milliseconds. The funny thing is, there's nothing in the show to justify this. It's as if he left the school, ran around it, and entered through the other door in just 1 second. Something only the Flash could pull off. In other words, this little animation error gave Danny some special powers. If Danny can disappear, why wouldn't the moon be able to as well? In the episode, George's New Dinosaur, our dear little piglet is devastated because his favorite toy is broken. But the biggest surprise isn't George's sadness. It's something that happens outside his bedroom window. At the start, we see the moon shining in the sky. It's there, beautiful and visible through the window. However, when the camera focuses on Mummy Pig, the moon completely disappears, even though the window is still in the frame. Did a cloud conveniently pass by at that exact moment? Or is this yet another unsolvable mystery from the world of Peppa Pig? Daddy Pig might actually be a magician in disguise. In the episode, Goldie the Fish, when Peppa and her family return from the vet, there's a costume change so quick you can barely notice it. Here's what happens. As they leave the house, Daddy Pig is wearing a white shirt and tie, looking quite formal, as if he's off to work. But by the time they get back home, in the blink of an eye, he's already back in his usual outfit. How did that happen? Was it a stylistic choice or just an animation error? Yet another enigma from Peppa Pig's universe. Everyone agrees that George is pretty small, right? And logically, he shouldn't be able to lift heavy things. But then comes the episode, Shopping, which completely defies this notion. The pig family is calmly shopping at the supermarket, and when it's time to pick out some fruit, the narrator highlights an enormous watermelon. Then comes the shocking moment. George, with total ease, lifts the giant watermelon as if it were a toy and places it in the cart. Okay, it's just a piece of fruit. But seriously, George is a toddler. How could he possibly do that? It's one of those moments that makes you laugh and think, is George secretly super strong? And we just didn't know? Still talking about the same supermarket episode, here's another bizarre detail that's hard to ignore. The family is calmly walking through the produce aisle, everything perfectly normal. But suddenly, in the blink of an eye, they appear in an aisle full of potted plants. It's as if they used a teleportation device without anyone noticing. It might have been a poorly done editing cut, but the scene is so strange that it looks like they simply disappeared and reappeared somewhere else. Totally nonsensical. If you, like us, love the incredible world of Peppa, click that subscribe button right now and join our Pink Piglet fan group. If there's one thing Peppa Pig loves to do, it's mess with logic. In the pool day episode, the heat seems to have altered the reality of Peppa's universe. While Miss Rabbit takes a break and Daddy Pig takes over the ice cream cart, something curious happens. Initially, the ice cream flavors are organized like this: vanilla, chocolate, banana, grape, pistachio, and strawberry. But without anyone touching the boxes, the order suddenly changes to pistachio, banana, chocolate, grape, vanilla, and strawberry. And no, Daddy Pig didn't switch anything because he didn't even touch the ice creams at that moment. How did this happen? It's one of those mysteries that only the Peppa Pig universe can create. Now, let's talk about the Shiny Wheel Horsey episode, which has a scene so funny, it's impossible not to notice. When Peppa and George receive the toy sent by Aunt Dottie, something strange happens. In the kitchen, you can clearly see the sink counter and, right next to it, a regular trash bin. But as soon as the shot changes, the trash bin disappears and is replaced by recycling bins. Sure, recycling is important, but where did the trash bin go? Did it evaporate? It's just another one of those magical occurrences that only happen with the world's most famous piglet. In the episode, George's Friend, everything starts with the kids enjoying a day at the park. Poor George is feeling sad because he doesn't have anyone to play with. Luckily, Rebecca Rabbit and her brother Richard show up to save the day. While George and Richard try to build sandcastles, tensions rise and the kids start arguing. Nothing unusual so far, but then something strange happens. The buckets they were using to play simply vanish. One moment they're there, and the next, poof, gone. How is that possible? This next mistake, the final one on our list, is so obvious it's laugh out loud funny. In episode 42 of season 2, Peppa and George visit Grandpa Pig. Everything seems normal until they enter the house. The scene shows a lamp hanging from the ceiling right above the staircase. But as they start climbing the stairs, the lamp simply vanishes. Did it turn off and decide to leave along with the light? Another one of those details that only Peppa's gang could give us. You can't help but have fun with Peppa and her gang's mistakes, can you? It's these little details that make the show even funnier. If you want to keep enjoying more fun content, we've picked 2 amazing videos for you to watch. See you in the next one!